What's up, everybody? I have a laptop from the dump, literally taken out of the garbage. Let's see if we can breathe some life into this thing and do something to fight e-waste. Alright, so full disclosure, I did already open this thing up and take a look at the inside to see if it's something worth working on, and I found some problems, but I think we can overcome them and maybe even have a little backup laptop or something we can give away to somebody. So this is literally from the dump. My father-in-law loves to take a look at the recycling container down at the dump, and he found this thing in there and he thought I could use it for one of my videos. So thank you, Kirk. Right away, you can take a look. There's some stuff going on. There's a couple little dents up here, and one of the corners. Yeah, this corner is a little bit beat up. You can see there's some. This thing might have taken a trip down a set of stairs or something like that, and it doesn't exactly close perfectly. But the screen is good for the most part. The keyboard looks good, and it's even got this little shortcut thing here. But when you power it up, no good. If you get that error, that means basically the computer cannot find an operating system to boot off of. Translation, it doesn't see the hard drive. I have a bootable USB here. Let's just pop this in real quick and see if it sees it. So boom, as soon as I pop that in there, it wants to boot up. That's a good sign. So let's put that aside. Let's turn this thing off. Bye-bye. And see what we can see. All right, so getting our workspace set up. If you're going to get into a computer, make sure you got somewhere to put your screws. I love my iFixit case. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. And I got a regular Phillips head. This top part where all the bits go is perfect for taking all the screws out. And basically what I do, we're keeping the screws in order, I should say. I basically organize them the way they come out so that the screws all go back in the same spot. Some laptops have different size screws for each spot. Some are all the same. This one clearly has different size screws for every hole. Now once we got them all out, I got them separated. So each one of these little squares lines up with the hole it goes into. If you've never taken one of these off, basically once you get all the screws out, you lift from the back and it comes right off. Now some of the newer Macs have little latches here. So this is for a 2010, but if you have like a 2016 or something newer than that, there's two little latches here, and when you lift, you got to kind of pull it backwards and come out, but look it up online how to take it off. Don't just rip your cover off. All right, so if you haven't been inside a computer before, let's go over some of the parts. Right here, you have the battery, you have some RAM. Looks like there is a single 8 GB module in there. I have some more RAM. Let's see if we can take this thing up a few gigs. Your fan, a motherboard, speaker, all your wireless peripherals. So these are your antennas, these little cables. Something definitely went on here. Someone's in there. The Cd-Rom, which we're going to probably remove. I have a little tray, this guy here, that allows you to put another drive in. I'm probably not going to put a drive in right away, but this thing uses power just sitting here doing nothing, and I don't even own any CDs, so we'll take that thing out of here in case we want to do some expansion. This is or maybe we'll take this drive and put it in there so we have two drives, because, you know, you never can have enough space. It has a 500 gig standard spinning drive. So this spins at 5,400 RPM. Even when this came out, there's a lot more variables, but basically the faster it spins, typically the better the reads are from it. So this is a pretty low quality drive from a performance point of view. So let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to do is, I believe this is the battery port here. I'm going to disconnect that so we don't have to worry about shorting anything out. Someone's going to tell me that that's not for the battery. It might be this guy here, but I'm not too worried about it. When you're inside a computer like this messing around, keep metal away from connections. All these little dots on here are solder connections, and if you short them out, meaning you connect two of them, you could put power where there's not supposed to be power and cause a problem. So just be cognizant of what you're doing. Now, someone was definitely in here because there's some posts missing. These are supposed to be screwed down. And and this hard drive is not attached to that. So basically, these little holes here typically have posts that go into the holes on this side, and then this screws down. Not a big deal either way. So what we're going to do is take this hard drive out. Basically what you would do is you'd unscrew these, it would lift out, you take out the connections on the side of this, and your drive comes free. Now I'm pretty confident this ribbon cable is bad. I do have another one. So let's pull this out, take these screws out of here, put these on the side. I'm going to take the ribbon out, and then we're going to take a look. So there's a thermal cable here. Basically make sure the hard drive is not getting too hot. I'm going to take this whole thing out for now. Come back to that in a little bit. And then we're going to remove the CD-ROM. So there's already a screw missing there. There's supposed to be 2 screws. One here, one there. I do have some replacement screws I'll put in here to kind of hold this in place better. It's amazing now. You're so used to not having CD-ROMs, but I couldn't back in the day imagine a computer without one. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, I can see there's a screw over here. Take that out. Now this whole drive should come right out. Now on the bottom, on the back of this drive, you'll see there is a little connector. Basically this takes the SATA connector out of the back of the CD-ROM, turns it, and allows it to connect to the board. So you have 2 SATA connections here. Now notice the pinouts are different on these. If you take a look, here, you'll see the amount of pins are different. There's just the size of the connection there versus the size of the connection here. I'm wondering if this has slower throughput because they know it's for a CD-ROM and you don't necessarily need as much speed, and this one's for the hard drive and they kind of give you more throughput there. But we'll see. Somebody will let me know in the comments below. So we got the CD-ROM out. This thing is definitely a relic. We're not going to be using this anywhere. Let's break into this thing. This was pretty inexpensive. I don't remember the price off the top of my head, but I'll put it in there. And it's basically, they call it a second hard drive caddy. It's the most self-explanatory name you could ever possibly have for a device. I'm going to crack this thing open. Take a look and see what we got. It's like cool. They give you a little screwdriver. We already have one, but very thoughtful of them. Awesome. They give us some new screws because we're definitely missing some. A little bag with some hardware in there. And then the caddy itself. So it feels very nice. I'm surprised at how nice it is. The only thing I can see that's going to be an issue is I wish the opening was on the other side so that we didn't have to put the drive in right now if we didn't want to, but it's not a big deal. So I'll just put the drive in there and we'll use it as is. I will obviously have to use the connection off the back of it. It doesn't come with a new connector. But I know you can get these on eBay and Craigslist. I'm sorry, eBay and Amazon for pretty inexpensive. So let's get the drive all mounted up. Put the original drive in here. And these are pretty straightforward. Just lay it in like such and slide it. You can feel it connect. And you'll see all the slack is going out of there. And on the bottom, the holes will now line up. So I'm going to take some of the extra screws they gave us here. See if they fit in the bottom. Now, it's pretty awesome if you think about it. This thing came from a dump. Some person probably got a new computer and just threw it away. And I don't blame that person for anything. I've done that a million times myself. Well, typically I sell my stuff, but our culture has kind of turned people into or trap people into the idea of this refresh cycle that happens pretty often. Now this is an older computer, so kudos to this person for hanging on to it longer, but it's not unheard of for people to have a computer, a phone or a computer for 1 or 2 years and then just throw it out when they're done, and it's totally socially acceptable. Now, I was definitely that kind of guy. I did that for a very long time. I'm trying to kind of amend my ways a little bit here by taking a little bit more ownership of the things I use and trying to make them last a little longer and not being so eager to throw things out or replace them. See if I can breathe life into them and keep them around a little longer. You'd be surprised what you can do with a computer like this. I bet you, if anything, worst case scenario, I could run a copy of Windows on this all day long. Now I'm reappropriating some screws because I want this thing to be held down pretty well. But I am taking screws from other areas. There will be some empty holes in this when I'm done. But I'm okay with that. That one does not fit there. Get an extra one over here. Let's try this guy out. Beautiful. So we got the hard drive in there. We got the adapter in the back of the drive caddy, and we got the data cable reattached to the board. Now the next thing is the hard drive. I've got a pretty cheap Toshiba Q series SSD here that came out of another Windows computer I was using. 256 gigs. I'm not looking to do anything massive with this computer. So I'm surfing on the internet, a backup computer, whatever. This will definitely be a huge improvement for performance though. So we'll get this thing installed and take it to the next step. So you'll see the original ribbon cable that came out is beat up. So I do have a new one. This was I want to say 15 or 20 bucks on Amazon. I'll post a link below. It might have been even cheaper than that. But I'm hoping that this will breathe some more life back into this machine. Let's take a look at the original one. It's a little bit different. I guess it's just bent into shape. I'm gonna rip this guy off of here. I don't know if I'm gonna fix this to this or not, but we'll take a look once I get it in there. I'm going to attach it to the drive first. So I can make sure I have room. So now we're going to attach to the drive. I think I'm going to take this out so I don't have the screws to leave it in there. And I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the top of it to keep it in place so it doesn't, I don't want any rattling or anything like that. So get the hard drive laid where it's supposed to be, kind of help the ribbon cable find its home, and press it in. Now, if you've never replaced a hard drive in a computer before, this does mean that I'm going to have to reinstall the operating system. It may try and boot off the old one now that the ribbon cable's fixed, but we're going to go ahead and format that drive and this drive and do a fresh installation of Mac OS. Now I'm kind of guessing that there's a wireless problem with this computer already because there's a wireless adapter on the side of it, which leads me to believe that there was an issue with the Wi-Fi. But I'm still going to be super careful with these ribbon cables because those are for the antennas on the computer. What's cool about doing things like this is, A, this computer was basically free to me, minus the parts I replaced. The hardware is in pretty decent shape. It's upgradable. Most computers you buy now on the market, if you go buy a brand new MacBook Pro with an M1 or M1 Pro or M1 Pro Max chip in it, when you buy it, that's it. It's done. You can't do anything else to it. And while, yes, it's all cool because it's integrated, there's a lot more room for batteries. You don't have all this stuff here. It's just all batteries in the new computers. Obviously, the layout's different, but you do sacrifice something for that. There's definitely not a spot to upgrade RAM on the new computers. You can't swap out the drives. You can't do these things. And yes, while technology does progress and things get smaller, it doesn't mean we have to abandon the past and throw things out needlessly. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere that would like this computer to do some work on or write some papers or set up in the kitchen for when they're cooking and looking up recipes. And the point being is, before you throw something out, think about, does that or could that computer serve another purpose? Could somebody else get some use out of it? And if the answer is yes, then see what you can do. If you don't want to use it or work on the computer, take it to a local computer shop. They might have somewhere some need for it, or someone that they can give it to, or find a charity. There's all sorts of ways you can take machines like this and give them a second life for someone else that's a little less fortunate. So the second upgrade we're going to be doing to this thing, I have a couple extra gigs of RAM here. I don't have another 8 gig module, but I do have a 2 gig module. It's not doing dual channel right now anyway, so having the extra RAM in there is more important to me than having another 8 gig module. So let's put that in like a glove. Check our connections. We got our connections solid, and this is a little rattly, so I do have a bit of double-sided tape. Take some of that rattle out. That's pretty ghetto, but it will work. Put our cover back on. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2 screws in just to sort of hold it in place while I check it out and see if it works good. Now I normally don't like doing jank upgrades, but I did not have the screws for that to put the hard drive back in properly, but I don't plan on doing anything massive with this computer. I just want to see if I can get it up and running and find a use case for it afterwards. That double-sided tape, as ghetto as it is, should hold it in place. Let's turn it on. Now I wonder if, now that we have that drive caddy in, if it'll try to boot off the old drive. Huh. Interesting. So it looks like there was a copy of Windows actually installed on that SSD drive, and it's now booting off of that. Kind of makes sense. I forgot it wasn't a Windows computer. So that means our SSD is working. That's awesome. And from this point, I basically would just install a fresh copy of Mac OS and get it up and running. I'm going to shut this off though, because I don't want to pollute this thing with Windows. I love Windows, but not on my Mac gear. So as we put this back together, I just want to kind of talk about a few points. One, don't be so quick to throw out your old stuff. Really take a hard look at what you're doing, and don't fall victim to this consumer mentality where every time a refresh cycle comes out, you have to run out and buy the computer or buy the thing that you think you want. Really weigh it out. Do you need, what are you getting for that couple of $1,000 you're probably spending on a laptop? And look at the age of what you have now. This person, if they just got rid of this computer, even like 2 years ago, just got rid of it, kudos to you. Way to hang on, way to get your dollar out of this computer. In its former state, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gig hard drive, spinning hard drive, and a machine from roughly 2010, this machine owes you nothing. Obviously, I have other plans for it, but that is a perfect case where someone took a look at, basically got every dollar they could get out of the machine they paid for. I know a lot of people that, myself formerly included, would run out all the time and buy the latest and greatest thing, regardless of the lack of difference or I know people, myself included, that would have ran out, got a new computer all the time, every year, regardless of whether or not they actually need it or not. Be honest with yourself, do better things with your money, and don't be so eager to fall into line with the refresh cycles just because. So I have Open Core installed on that thumb drive, and that should allow me to boot this older computer off a copy of Monterey. Basically what you do is you go to the Open Core menu, and then it comes back up again, and we're going to go to macOS Monterey. We're going to open up Disk Utility now to see if I can see both drives, if I can get an idea how much RAM is on there, and to see if our upgrade was successful. Alright, so now that we're booted up into recovery, I'm going to run the Disk Utility. Hopefully we see both disks here. Review, show all devices, and boom. So I see the 256 gig drive and the 500 gig drive. Sweet. So we know this is our internal drive. We're going to format this first really quick. Let's erase it. We'll just call this SSD. Let it do its thing. Done. Go to the other drive. I'm going to erase that as well. We'll call this HDD for hard disk. And spell erase. Now what's cool about having that second drive in there is I could use that for like a time machine backup locally on the computer. It won't help me if the computer gets stolen, but if I delete a document off the desktop or something like that, I'll have somewhere to go to get it back. Boom, done. So now you'll see we have two drives. Over on the side we have the SSD and our original spinning disk, and we are ready to start our installer. Now, some of you that are Mac users might be wondering, hey, how are you getting Monterey to install on a computer that's older than me? There's a program out there called OpenCore, which is pretty amazing. It's a little tricky to set up, but basically what it does is it takes a macOS Monterey installer and modifies it so that you can install on older gear. But at this point, basically I'm ready to click continue and install the operating system onto the computer, and I would have a fully functioning Mac after that. That will have a fast hard drive, 10 gigs of RAM, and basically be ready to do most office tasks: Word documents, Excel, browsing the internet, some content consumption like Netflix, all those things. YouTube would work perfectly fine on this. So the moral of the story is, don't be so quick to throw something out. This thing is beat up. It's got some dents on it. The hinges are a little jacked up. It doesn't close correctly. There was double-sided tape in there, but it's clearly still usable. And for someone that can't afford a new computer, this thing could be a godsend. So keep your eyes open. Don't contribute to e-waste as aggressively, and don't be afraid to try new things. I spent probably 20-30 bucks on this between the hard drive caddy and that ribbon cable, the SSD I had laying around from another computer. So be creative, be smart, open your eyes a little bit, and you'll be surprised what you can find. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video with me today. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up. If you don't, the thumbs down works as well. If you've done stuff like this, tell me about it in the comments below. I want to hear about it. And as always, I appreciate the subscription. Peace.